covers it up. Let's go ahead on the cameras. I'd forgotten I already hit on the performance. Dual camera setups on both, 12 megapixel wide, 12 megapixel ultra wide on the iPhone 12. We have a 12 megapixel wide and then a 12 megapixel telephoto lens on the iPhone XS Max. Now looking at the user interfaces on both, I can definitely tell you they are more similar than not. There's like very little differences between these two, and I would not necessarily go from one device to the other just because of the way they look, but definitely I think the bigger differences lies in the front cameras. You can do 4K at 60 on the front camera of the iPhone 12, where we can only do 1080p on the front camera of the XS Max. It may not be a big deal to you, but you're going to be getting a better front-facing camera from something like an iPhone 12 than on the iPhone XS Max. In terms of the camera module, I've always found that the XS Max had a pretty good camera module for the most part. It wasn't really, I don't even think it was the best camera of that year, but it was a pretty good camera, and I think anybody, everyone who uses a XS Max would probably say the same thing. Now with that telephoto lens, you can zoom in a lot to a photo, you still have portrait mode, 4K at 60, all that crazy stuff, but you don't have an ultra-wide sensor, and I would rather have an ultra-wide sensor than a telephoto lens, to be completely honest. And in this case, this is a perfect example. The XS Max's quality, the camera crispness, and all that stuff is very good on the iPhone XS Max, but it falls in two areas: not having an ultra-wide sensor, but also not having a really it has a decent front-facing camera, but it's not the best, and I really wish it was a little bit higher resolution on the XS Max. On the iPhone 12, it has a really good quality back-facing camera. This is horrible lighting in this photo, but I can definitely tell you I've taken photos on this thing. I've taken photos on my 12 Pro now, and the front camera, the back camera, it's a very good module for sure. Now, the same thing could be said here. You wish it had a telephoto lens or whatever, but I actually do like the ultra-wide sensor a little bit more. I like having both, to be honest. That's why the 12 Pro or 12 Pro Max is the better way to go. But definitely when it comes down to these cameras, the iPhone 12 is the better camera at the end of the day. And that you're getting a 4K 60 at the front camera as well, which is really nice. The XS Max's camera is good enough, and I think for a majority of people out there who are shooting videos and making Snapchats and things like that, it's going to be perfectly fine on a phone like a XS Max. But if you want it a little bit better of quality and everything, the 12 is probably the better way to go when it comes down to it. So in terms of that, that pretty much covers it up.